we have got to stop doing this. It's one of the most toxic things that we are doing in our relationships, and a lot of people are not even aware that they're doing it. And here's what it looks like. Think of the number of times over the past maybe 4 months that you have said or heard a phrase that sounds like this. I mean, how can I complain? You know, so-and-so has it so much worse. That's called comparative suffering. It's basically ranking our suffering. It's saying, well, my suffering is this, and so let me kind of objectively rank that against this other person's, and that person, well, just on the surface, gosh, that is worse than mine. So I really shouldn't complain. I should just keep my mouth shut and hold it together and keep moving along as though everything is fine. Do you know how toxic that is when we do stuff like that? When we're ranking suffering, essentially what we're doing is we're doing the opposite of empathizing with people. I've had a number of people since this happened, since I got hit by a car 2 months ago, say things like, and again, I know they were well-intentioned, but say things like, oh, it could have been so much worse. And again, the intention I think behind that was, you know, be grateful that worse things didn't happen, but how I received it was it felt dismissive and diminishing. Or gosh, I know somebody whose accident was like 10 times worse than that. And what that does is it totally invalidates my reality of, you know what, I got hit by a car and that sucked, and I am recovering from a fractured spine and the emotional and mental kind of recovery that comes along with that too. I have not driven a car in 2 months, you know, a number of things. And yes, relatively speaking, there are people that end up paraplegics, and I'm really glad I didn't. But when someone says something that essentially diminishes or dismisses our reality of pain in the moment, what that does is that creates a wall, that creates a barrier. It basically makes us feel like whatever we're dealing with isn't real. And we need to be mindful of doing this because, again, I think a lot of us are doing it with good intentions for ourselves and toward other people. So what I want you to do today, I want to give you permission to have whatever pain you have, and it is legitimate. You may look at something and say, well, gosh, I mean, I can work from home, you know, we have 2 incomes, and, you know, we really can make it work, but you really might be crying yourself to sleep every night, or dealing with depression, or dealing with really extreme anxiety. There may be something that people can't see on the surface that you're struggling with. And just because somebody else's pain is more visible doesn't make it any more significant than whatever it is that you're going through. So I just feel like I needed to say this today to acknowledge that whatever you're going through, whether it's visible or not, no matter how seemingly insignificant it is, that it matters, and that we need to stop ranking our suffering and offer empathy, say things, if someone shares something with us, to say, gosh, you know, that sounds like that must be really hard. You know, thank you for sharing that with me. Is there more about that you want to say? You know, I can imagine that would be really frustrating and really tiring to have to deal with that. You know, we just want recognition of our emotions and acceptance of our emotions, not to be dismissed or diminished. Somebody needed to hear that today. I hope that encourages you to not compare your suffering to others, and to acknowledge and create space for whatever it is that you're going for without judging it. Be kind to yourself.